SCRA's endorsed work comp and business insurance program. I'm Sienna Roginski, Membership and Member Services Director for the South Dakota Retailers Association. In today's program, we will feature a presentation by Brad Wilson of Insurance Benefits and Tom Diefendorf of United Fire Group. We have just a few notes before we start. The phones of all attendees are muted so that we won't be hearing any background noises. Number two, we will have a question and answer period at the conclusion of the presentation. If you would like to ask a question at any time, just go to the panel on the side of your screen where it says type message here. Type your question, then click on send. At the conclusion of the presentation, I'll read the questions out loud and one of our presenters will provide the answers. Number three, finally, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on SCRA's website tomorrow. I'd like to give you a little information on Brad Wilson. First, I'd like to introduce Brad, who is the president of Insurance Benefits, Inc. Insurance Benefits is a program administrator for the SCRA's endorsed workers' compensation insurance program. Brad grew up in Burke, South Dakota, and obtained his bachelor's degree in business administration at the University of South Dakota. He is a certified insurance counselor, has an associate's in claims degree, and a South Dakota Workers' Compensation Specialist designation. Brad began his career in the insurance industry in 1993 as a multi-line claims adjuster. Because Brad is a small-town South Dakota native and a small business owner, he understands the challenges that you face every day and is committed to being your business insurance expert. Now we'll turn the presentation over to Brad.
All right, thank you, Sienna. Hello, everyone out there. I know that you can't answer me, but I assume you're all saying good morning back. So beautiful day here in Sioux Falls. And thank you for taking the time this morning to join us and to learn a little bit more about the South Dakota Retailers Association, the endorsed business insurance program, and the endorsed workers' compensation insurance program. So as Sienna had said, I'm Brad Wilson with Insurance Benefits, and we are the program agent for both of these programs. And so you might be wondering, who is Insurance Benefits? Well, along with being the program agent or the program administrator, Insurance Benefits is also the first-line underwriter for RTW, American Compensation Insurance Company, which is the endorsed work comp insurance provider. Basically, we are their South Dakota branch underwriter for the company. We provide quotes to agents and issue policies and renewal policies to the SDRA members who purchase their work comp coverage through the retailers program. We also collect and track data for the retailer's office on all of the programs, all of the work comp programs and the business insurance. We provide reports back to the retailers. No personal data. It's just number of policies and how much premium is in the program, but also who is participating in the program, so that they, your marketing rep, is able to visit with you about those when they do their reviews. We are probably most importantly the first line of communication between you and the agents and the Retailers Association for these programs. Any questions? If you want to know if there's an agent in your area, if you want to know if you're eligible, we can handle all of that, and we do handle all of that and provide that for you. So before we go on to the history of the programs, a couple of the things that we're going to talk about today is, and what you should take away is, who is RTW, American Compensation Insurance Company, and who is United Fire Group? What kind of business insurance is available to you through the retailers programs? What types of businesses are eligible or not eligible? And what are the benefits to the retailers members through these programs? And then also, finally, how do you get a quote, a free quote, no obligation? It kind of sounds like a cliche or an insurance commercial, but that's really what it is. If you want to check it out, there's no obligation, and it doesn't cost you anything to get a quote. So let's go into a little bit of the history of the South Dakota Retailers Insurance programs. The work comp program as it exists today began 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago to the week. March 8th, 2010 is when RTW was endorsed by the Retailers Association to provide the work comp program. It replaced the Farmers Insurance Group program that had been in place for many years. So if you have a if you'd been in the Farmers Insurance Group program for the retailers many years ago and you still have that policy, that's not an endorsed retailers work comp program anymore. Part of the reason that the work comp program changed is just because of rates. You know, rates change all the time, and RTW has a much more competitive rate for retailers' members. Then in January of 2011, there was a business owners policy program. They call it a BOP program for small businesses. This is what would cover your property liability coverages all within one neat little package. That program began in January of 2011 with Austin Mutual Insurance Company. Now that program ceased as of August of last year and was replaced with the program we're going to talk about today, a business insurance program, a more comprehensive program that allows more retailers members to be eligible. That began January 1st of 2015 with United Fire Group, and Tom Diefendorf, who will follow me up, will talk in more detail about that. Insurance Benefits is the program agent for both of those programs and can get you to the right place to get you a quote and get some information. Both of these programs, although they operate independently, really are connected and related. They're available through select local independent agents. They're not available through every agent throughout the state. United Fire has appointed agents that offer the business insurance as well as the work comp programs. RTW Inc. If you're a current member right now, RTW, you might see RTW Inc. American Compensation Insurance Company is the actual company that the program is written through. So you might see a couple of different names on your policy or on your invoice, but that's all the same. It's all the workers' compensation program for the retailers. And then United Fire Group is the business insurance company. So first we're going to talk about the RTW and the work comp program. So some of the things that apply here don't necessarily apply to the business insurance, so don't lump them in together. If you have questions, we'll take those at the end and answer those and try to clarify. But I'll try and keep this as simple as possible just so that we don't confuse the two programs. But so who is RTW Incorporated? They are also an American Compensation Insurance Company. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of state auto insurance companies, and you may be familiar with State Auto. They used to have a branch office in Millbank, South Dakota. A small company called Millbank Insurance was bought out by State Auto, so you might be familiar with State Auto through that. Basically, RTW and American Compensation Insurance Company they are insurance companies under the umbrella of State Auto, although they operate independently. The office that particularly that we deal with for RTW is based in Bloomington, Minnesota. When you're driving to the Mall of America, you can see their building just right off of 494. So although it's not a South Dakota company, they're local and a Midwest company. Their financial rating, which is kind of what you look at when you look at insurance companies for financial strength, you like to see financial strength. They are rated A, which is excellent, by AM Best, and that's right where you want to be. RTW offers workers' compensation insurance in all of the states that you see in blue. For the purpose of our discussion, we care about South Dakota. They provide it. They're appointed in South Dakota, admitted in South Dakota. But as you can see, they have experience in many other states writing workers' compensation insurance. I believe 31 states to be exact. So a little background on workers' compensation. This is going to answer your question on what kinds of business insurance is available. Well, workers' compensation, I always like to touch on what is it and almost importantly, what is it not. Workers' compensation it's an insurance program that provides benefits to employees who have work-related injuries. Those benefits are are statutory, which means the South Dakota state law determines what those are. It's not like a homeowner's insurance policy or your other business insurance policies where you can pick the limits of insurance that you want to provide. Maybe you want a higher deductible or a lower deductible, or maybe you want a certain amount of insurance, or maybe you want to cover a building, but maybe you don't want to cover another building. You don't have any of those decisions to make with workers' compensation insurance. If you have employees, you have to have workers' compensation coverage, and the benefits, you don't get to determine what those are. The legislature has determined those many years ago, and it's written in South Dakota workers' compensation law. So each employee has a right to those benefits if they are injured in the line of, and the injury arises out of, and in the course of employment. And the employment is a major contributing cause. That's the way the actual legal statute reads. So just because you're at work and you have a heart attack doesn't necessarily mean it's work-related. So that's a whole other discussion, but just a high level is what workers' compensation provides. Now, what workers' compensation is not, it's not unemployment insurance, it's not health insurance, it's not Obamacare, and it's not a government entitlement program. So it's an actual, even though benefits are determined at the state level of what insurance companies have to pay, it's an insurance policy that you purchase, just like you purchase your auto insurance or your business liability insurance. So it's not a government program or health insurance. So who's covered by workers' compensation? Employees. We just kind of discussed this, but if you have an employee that's on the payroll, they are covered. Whether you even think about including that payroll when you do your renewal or you do your workers' compensation, if you're purchasing a new policy, if you have an employee, they're covered whether you've reported them or not. So whether you have a work comp policy or not, it does not. If you don't have a work comp policy and you bring in a part-time employee, they're on your payroll, they get injured, and you don't have a work comp policy, just because you don't have the policy does not relieve you of your obligation to pay for work-related injuries. Okay, that's why you buy the policy, is to pay for those. So so employees are covered. Corporate officers, if your business is set up as a C corp or an S corp, officers are covered. So if you're an owner and you're an officer, you are covered unless you specifically exclude yourself from coverage, which you can do and which is very common, because it can be expensive to cover yourself for work comp purposes. Sole proprietors and partners within a partnership. Now they, in South Dakota, do not, if there are no employees, if you are a true sole proprietor or a true partnership owners, no employees, you're not required to carry work comp coverage. But you see this more in contractors or maybe even seasonal businesses where you bring in extra help during the holidays. You got to have work comp coverage if you have employees, and just paying them cash or paying them not paying unemployment or payroll taxes and giving them a 1099 does not make them a contractor. It really comes down to control on what they're doing. So if you have employees, part-time, seasonal, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's your kids or your wife. If they're an employee, they're an employee, then you have to have work comp coverage. So benefits of workers' compensation, and again, these are provided. You don't get to choose them, but there is medical, which pays for the medical bills. Disability, sometimes it's called indemnity, or it's also known as lost wages. If somebody is off work for 7 consecutive days by doctor's order, then they are entitled to lost wages, which is 2/3 of their average weekly salary. There's a minimum of $353 a week, maximum of $705. If they're a part-time employee, hourly, and it's less than that minimum, it can get complicated, but there's a different calculation for that. But that's the basics. Rehabilitation benefits, which is just retraining or education. Maybe you have someone who has a manual labor type of job, they're injured and they're not able to do that again. If they can be retrained, re-educated to do a job that doesn't require that they can work within their physical restrictions, work comp coverage will pay for that. And then death benefits, it's just a $10,000 burial expense. So that goes towards funeral expenses in the event of unfortunate event of a death while in the line of work. This is as important as anything within this whole discussion is when does a work comp claim, when does an injury need to be reported? And this is all by state law. An employee has to notify the employer within 3 days of an injury, and then you have 7 days to notify your insurance carrier or your agent of that injury. So, you know, and that's in the best interest of everybody. I mean, all the data shows the sooner that a claim is reported, the better the outcomes are for the employee and the better the financial outcomes are for the employer. So if you didn't know that already, that's a big one, and you just do that with the first report of injury form. So let's go into specifically the South Dakota Retailers Association Work Comp program. So who's eligible? What businesses are eligible, or what does it take to be eligible to get a quote? I mean, you have to be, first and foremost, number one at the top of the list is you have to be a South Dakota Retailers member. So you can't not be a member and be on these programs. So if you're not a member, we will definitely offer you a quote, and you can take a look at it and decide. But if you want to purchase the coverage, you have to be a retailer's member. There's approximately 200 eligible class codes, which are different types of businesses that are eligible, up to a $50,000 premium, and your experience rating, which if you're a large enough business to have an experience rating, that has to be below a 1.10. If you don't know what that number is, don't worry about it. If you check into a quote, I mean, that's one of the first things that we'll take a look at. So as far as your claims history, now this is an eligibility question. Your business may be eligible, you know, your premium may be eligible, but your claims history is also a factor. The good thing about a claims history is that can always improve. And so just because you're not maybe eligible because of some claims, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be eligible in a year or 2 years after some of that claims history has cleaned up. So basically, if you've had 3 claims in any one single year of the past 3 years, I mean, it's going to be difficult to offer a quote. Or if you've had 4 claims total over the past 3 years. If you've had a larger claim, one claim over $25,000, we need to go to the underwriters and explain, you know, why we should be able to offer a quote. And if you've had total claims of over $50,000 in the past 3 years, those are some things to take a look at. You know, those are reasons why you may not get a quote. The program doesn't offer a quote to everybody and anybody and bind coverage without actually underwriting the account. It's not an all-inclusive accepted program, and no insurance is. So, and one of the important ones is if there's an injury, if you have a past injury in the last 3 years of an auto accident, weapons, or assault related, it's not eligible at all. So, but again, that can, as that history falls off and improves, that doesn't mean that you're not eligible forever. So the business types that are eligible for the workers' compensation, and this generally overlaps with United Fire, and actually United Fire probably they have more business types that would be eligible, you know, for the liability and property. But the workers' compensation, they're looking at, you know, small account Main Street type businesses. They like to see 4 walls. They like to see, you know, a safety program if possible. But your retail stores, you know, that are line Main Street or in the strip malls of some of the larger towns, service and mercantile type businesses, office professional, including any kind of a medical clinic, your chiropractor clinics, your dental clinics, you know, physical therapy, those are all acceptable. Restaurants. About 1/4 of the South Dakota Retailers membership is made up of restaurants. If you are a restaurant, this is a program that you need to take a look at. I mean, RTW loves restaurants. It's one of the few companies that will offer quotes and write new restaurants without prior experience, and that is huge. That is something that has really been a sweet spot within this program. So if you're a restaurant, you got to find out who an agent is that can get you a quote, and we'll help you with that. And when I talk about restaurants, a couple of the things that they look at, if you do food delivery, I mean, if you're delivering pizzas or delivering subs or whatever, those driving is not going to work. They don't do food delivery. That would be a knockout question. If you're a restaurant bar, restaurant bars are fine, but if you're more bar than a restaurant, then you're not necessarily a restaurant. So the bars in the insurance world, I should say. So you know, if you have a dance floor, if there's any kind of live entertainment, if you ever do a cover charge or have somebody checking IDs at the door, that's not going to fall in the restaurant category and is not going to be as easy. Actually, those are knockout questions, so we wouldn't be able to do those. Hospitality, they love motels and hotels. So if you're one of those, grocery stores, convenience stores, and you know the true convenience stores where you have the general store inside and self-serve gas, and maybe a car wash. No gas stations only where it's full service, and if you provide an LP tank service, unless it's a swap out, but if you're filling tanks, then that's going to be a knockout question as well. Swap outs, I believe, are okay. Anything with auto sales, service, auto body repair, those are all good classes, and light manufacturing. If you're manufacturing heavy equipment, heavy, heavy steel, it's depending on what you're doing. I mean, we could take a look at it, but light manufacturing is more of what they're looking for. So I want to touch a little bit more on the new ventures, because this is something that RTW has provided to the Retailers Association that no other company that we've looked at has been able to do, and that's taking on new ventures. And there's two kinds of new ventures, really. There's the new ventures with no experience, and there's the new businesses that really aren't a new business, there's just new owners. So when I'm talking new ventures for restaurants, for office professional, hotel, motel, they will truly, RTW will look at no experience. You're a new business, no experience, no questions asked, they'll write them. So you just have to have payroll and employees and pay the premium. So now if you're a retail store or you're another type of, you're a new business owner, the business it may be a new business, or you might be purchasing an existing business. On those, they will do them, but they'll look at what your relevant experience is. So they're always good to check out. They're actually pretty good, depending on what your experience is, on writing new ventures, which a lot of insurance companies do not. They like to see you in business for 3 years before writing your insurance. And on the work comp side, it's really a big one for RTW. So who is ineligible? Who are we not able to, on the work comp side, we're not able to offer quotes? Construction and contractors, and that's probably not a big surprise if you're one of them. I mean, insurance for contractors is expensive. There's a lot of risk in that, and a lot of contractors and small contractors can't even find the insurance. They have to buy it through the state risk pool. So those are ineligible. Temporary employment agencies, employee leasing, transportation, truck driving, pawn shops, check cashing, gun shops, fireworks. That's no surprise. Anything with the weapons or ammunition, those are all not eligible. If you're a business that's open 24 hours, particularly in Sioux Falls or Rapid City, or if you're a seasonal business that's closed for part of the year, which is, we run into that a lot out in the Black Hills. When it comes to workers' compensation, they look at, if someone's injured, do they have a place to go back to work? Because that can be a big part of the cost of a claim. Height exposure, and this really, has to do with contractors a lot, or, I mean, if you have someone who's working over 15 feet, that's a knockout question, which with contractors, a lot of times that's one of the big ones. Fast food delivery, again, we touched on that, and driving exposure. If there's significant driving, RTW's numbers show that 80% of their claims costs come from auto accidents, and so that's why they are particular about driving, whether it's food delivery or just delivery driving. If you have a delivery service, it's okay, you can have it. It just needs to be incidental and typically around that 10% or less of overall payroll. Interchange of labor, where this will come into play, is you might be a business owner that has 3 different businesses and you have employees that work in all 3 of them. If you're interchanging labor, interchanging employees between businesses, unless RTW is writing all 3 of them and all 3 businesses are an eligible type of business, they're not going to do those. So And a lot of times in these types of things, again, contractor type of businesses, we seem to see that the most. There's your heavy and mid and heavy manufacturing. Fitness centers are not eligible. Anything agricultural or law firms. So contractors. Are there any contractors that they will do? And I put this as a yes, no, maybe. They will look at artisan type contractors, and I'd say particularly residential plumbers. In 5 years, we've really only ever seen 3, and we've written 1 of those. But the guidelines are pretty restrictive. It has to be a fairly low premium. Again, not working over 15 feet. The owners cannot be included. No claims. They have to be open and operating year-round. And your small residential type plumber is really the type of artisan contractor that fits that description. So what are the benefits to South Dakota Retailers Association members? Competitive rates. RTW is very competitive rates. You receive, on top of the competitive rates, as a Retailers member, you get a 5% credit off of your premium. We call it an association credit, but you get a 5% credit on top of their already competitive rates. And there's the potential for a dividend plan, which as a small business, dividend plans are typically offered to larger businesses who have a good claims year, and so the insurance company will give them a dividend for reward for not having claims. Well, within this program, the dividend plan is as a group. So as a group, everybody that RTW writes an insurance policy for, if we total, within the Retailers Association, if we have $1 million in premium and we have a loss ratio under a certain threshold, there's a potential dividend. You could have a $500 work comp premium, and you might get a dividend check, albeit it'll be maybe small, but it'll be on a percentage-wise more than you'd get on your own purchasing the coverage outside of the program. Quotes are available, and we'll do them same day. We turn them around very quickly. Again, the select local agents, and we'll have a list of those agents after Tom's presentation at the end of the total presentation. You can see if there's an agent in your area. Again, the financial strength, and with RTW, they specialize in small Main Street type businesses. So, and one thing I wanted to throw in there is loss prevention services. A lot of times insurance companies only offer loss prevention services to larger businesses, ones that they really feel they can make an impact on. RTW actually offers a web access to its business owners, to its policyholders, that you can have access to if you purchase your work comp insurance through the program. And so that's something that you can use to have safety meetings or just to brush up on what some ideas on beginning a safety program. So, and if your premium's over $5,000, they'd actually, depending on the type of business you are, they'll come out and do a walkthrough. My main point on this is that they have a very easily accessible and easy to use website that you can use. So, for more information on the not just the work comp program, I'm wrapping up the work comp program, but really for both programs, if you want a quote, if you want more information, you can call or email my office. The toll-free number is right there, 800-233-9073, or you can email my office. Barb Ledeen or myself, any of us can help you. Barb and Ledeen are really the daily. That's probably who you'll end up talking to, but any of us can help you. Or you can call or email your South Dakota Retailers rep or Sienna at the office in Pierre. And their toll-free number is there, and their general service email is there. But yeah, if you know your rep who calls on you, they're always very eager to get you in touch with an agent or with us to help you get a quote. So if there's any questions, just type those up and hit submit, and then I will answer them at the end of the webinar. So for now, I'll turn it back over to Sienna, and she will introduce Tom Diefendorf, your next speaker. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brad. I'd like to introduce Tom. Tom is the Senior Marketing Representative with United Fire Group and works from his home in Beersford, South Dakota. He has over 25 years experience in the insurance industry in the capacities of both agent and company representative. Tom travels the state of South Dakota on a regular basis and is well versed and acquainted with the businesses and members associated with SDRA and is looking forward to helping SDRA members secure their business insurance needs through the business insurance program endorsed by SDRA and sold by UFG agents throughout the state. Tom, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sienna. Yes, my name's Tom Diefendorf, and I live out in Beresford, South Dakota, and I'm looking forward to working with the members of the South Dakota retailers. And so we will proceed with my presentation. UFG is short for United Fire Group. United Fire Group is an A-rated insurance carrier based out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We currently have about $750 million of written premium and over $1 billion in assets. We write insurance in 42 states, but our main core of business is in the Midwestern corridor, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska. So we have Midwestern roots. We know small town businesses and retail, and we're very excited to be the endorsed carrier for the South Dakota Retailers Association. And my machine froze up. Here we go. Sorry about that. The insurance program for SDRA. What we have done is we have designed a business insurance program to replace the previous BOP or Business Owners Program. What this does is it allows for a wider range of businesses to be eligible for coverage in the program. Under the previous program, a BOP, you had to have a certain type of business to fit into that little box to be considered for coverage for a BOP. With our business insurance program, we can not only cover your property, your liability, we can cover your commercial auto, we can do your umbrella if you have a need for a commercial umbrella, we can do inland marine, and we can do work comp if it's eligible and RTW is not a market for that. So we have a wide variety of coverages available to make a business insurance program for you. This allows for a wider range of businesses to be eligible and a large variety of classes to be eligible. Benefits for South Dakota Retailers members. Preferred pricing. Much like the RTW program, we have a 5% association credit that's filed with the Division of Insurance, and all eligible members receive that credit. All lines of coverage are eligible for the preferred pricing. What we've done is workers' compensation is not eligible for the dividend program. We can write the workers' comp, but it won't be considered in the calculations for the dividend program. All lines are eligible for the dividend program. With our dividend program, total earned premium has to reach a $1 million level and have an acceptable loss ratio in order for a dividend to be determined. Statewide agency force. We have contracts with agents all over South Dakota in all geographical areas of South Dakota. So we have a wide net of agents that are there to help you and customize your insurance needs. We actively seek input from our agents on an annual, quarterly basis to find out what's going on in the marketplace. What are the people talking about? What kind of coverage needs are out there? United Fire Group, UFG, along with your agent, will create a customized solution for your needs. And currently, we service many retail accounts in South Dakota. We do write a lot of Main Street businesses right now. So when we enter these discussions with the South Dakota retailers and insurance benefits, this was not new to us. We write Main Street, we write retail. We're very comfortable doing that. Eligibility. All active members of South Dakota Retailers Associations are eligible. In addition, retailers who would like to become members of South Dakota Retailers are eligible too. So if you're a potential member and want to get an insurance quote, we can definitely do that in a what-if scenario. And if you as a member or potential member like the pricing of our insurance quote, we can go ahead and issue a policy. provided that we know that you're joining the association. A caveat to this, some members of the South Dakota Retailers Association may not be eligible for the program due to the type of operations they have. If they have an adverse risk exposure, if they're in an industry or the type of business that is open to having a lot of losses or has financial problems. Our goal for the retailers program is to have a program that's going to pay a dividend. I mean, we want to be able to pay a dividend. We need to report to the Division of Insurance, to the South Dakota Retailers Board, even the United Fires Board, that we're operating a profitable program. So we're going to underwrite the program and take the risks that are going to give us the best chance of paying a dividend. Just quickly, ineligible risks. United Fire is a generalist. We look at a wide variety of risks, but some risks that we just do not do are trucking firms, fireworks stands, weapons and ammunition sales and manufacturing, most things to do with aviation. We're just not a market for those. So we're aware of those type of things. Service and retail, what we do best. On this list is just a wide listing of the type of accounts that we currently write, that we're a market for. As you can see, they're Main Street businesses, Main Street retail. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but restaurants, auto service, repair, muffler. We have several enhanced coverages for garages, auto body shops, that type of stuff. Hotels, motels, we're a good market for those. Offices, bakeries, auto glass, boat repair. And this list is not just limited to this list. I mean, there's a wide variety of accounts that we can write. So by all means, contact your agent, discuss your needs with him, and hopefully we can be a market for you. The United Fire Business Insurance Program is available through an independent agency for us, as I mentioned. We have a wide variety of agents all around the state. We have a handout that we've created that Sienna will email to you at the conclusion of the webinar. It's kind of, if you look at this screen, it's kind of on the right-hand side, kind of blocked out by that main page. But by all means, contact your independent agent, and they should be able to guide you in your insurance selections. I kind of went through that kind of fast, but if you have any questions for Brad or myself, please type those and send those to is it Donna? So questions.
Thank you, Tom. I do have a couple questions there for Brad for work comp. I have a small nonprofit theater that's asking if they would be eligible for the work comp coverage.
It depends. That's going to be one of those depends. A theater, theaters typically, it depends on how long they're open, how much they're open. There's some other factors in that we'd have to take a look at. You know, overall, the classification would probably be good. It'd probably come down to more specifically about the business. So I'd have to see and learn more about that. So I'll just say maybe.
That's something we could certainly take a look into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Another question for you, Brad. I know there were discussions last year about employee bonuses and whether they're considered part of payroll for workers' comp. How did that turn out?
That is in circuit court now. I believe it went through the hearing process, and specifically what they're looking at on that, you know, currently bonuses are included if they are earned bonuses. Okay, and what this person is specifically asking about is called discretionary bonuses. Bonuses where, say, they're a company-wide quarterly bonus or a Christmas bonus that's not tied to the productivity or the results of somebody's work. Right now, those are not included as wages, and therefore are not used to calculate a business's premium. So right now, it's been appealed, I guess, basically appealed to circuit court, and it's running its course there. I believe that hearing has been set. I don't have the date. I actually have the stack of all the papers right in front of me. but nothing has changed as far as that goes. But it's been appealed, and it's going through the courts right now.
Okay, thank you. Another question, Brad. You had talked about part-time employees, and just wondering if you can state that again. Do they have to be, do you have to include part-time and seasonal workers for work comp, or are they exempt?
Yes, you do have to include them. The only exemptions to work comp coverage, there is an agricultural and a domestic employee, which maids, I guess, someone who's cleaning your house, domestic servants, and owners. I mean, that's the only exceptions. If you have an employee, whether they're blood related to you, whether they are a friend, whether they're part-time, whether they're a minor, whether they're seasonal, it does not matter. If you have an employee and they are on payroll, they are covered by work comp. They are covered and are entitled to benefits whether you purchase a policy or not. That's why you're required to purchase a policy. So yes, if you have a part-time worker that works 1 hour for 1 day and then they quit during that 1 hour, they're covered.
Okay. And then as an employee is injured, who do they report that to? Is it just the insurance company, the state, or both?
Really, the easiest thing is probably just to report it to your agent. There's a form called the South Dakota First Report of Injury form, and there's 2 sections to that. The employee fills out the top section. That basically is their notice to you as the employee. They should fill that out within the first 3 days, and then you fill out the bottom portion of it. And then really, if you don't have very many claims and you're not really familiar with that, we can send you the form. Your insurance agent is also, I mean, that's kind of what they get paid to do too, is to help you through those things. So if you know your insurance agent, they can guide you through that as well. But if they fill it out for you, then they will send it in to the insurance company. If you want to do it yourself, actually RTW does offer, you could report the claim by phone, or using your username and password that is provided to you when you first sign up or purchase your policy. You could report it online as well. 99% of what I see is just that first report of injury form is filled out and faxed into to the insurance company, usually through the agent. And if you send it to us, we'll forward it on to RTW. Either way is fine.
And then can you repeat again, Brad, who somebody would contact if they're interested in finding out about how much it would cost for workers' comp insurance?
They could call our office at Insurance Benefits, and what we will do is that we will get them in touch with an agent in their area. Our number is 800-233-9073. Or our email address is info@insurance-benefits-inc.com. And typically what we'll do is, because an insurance agent will have to, get the classification and your payrolls to give you an accurate quote and ask about your claims history. And so what we'll typically do is that, we'll get you hooked up with an agent in your area that can gather that information, get that to us so that we can offer a quote, or we can work up a quote.
Okay, great. And then did you say you'd be sending out the list of agents? We'll be sending those out from our office, probably.
Yes, I think Tom has that, and I guess I'm not sure the process of what you were going to do, but I think you were going to email that to the participants, or not, excuse me, the attendees.
Great. All right. I don't think there's any other questions that I've received that have come in. So again, thank you, Brad and Tom. Thank you for all the participants today, or attendees. I'd like to mention again that if you have additional questions, you can contact our office at 605-224-5050. And just a reminder that we have several upcoming webinars. For information about those programs and to sign up, you can visit our website at www.sdra.org. Under the training tab, click on webinars and seminars. Again, our website is sdra.org. Thank you again to everyone for participating today, and have a great day.